Okay, people, today let's take a quick look at the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Cobra Dreadnoks Cold Slither set. Whew. That's a mouthful, but we're used to long titles by now, right? Yes, I was able to grab this at San Diego Comic-Con thanks to Mike Lorenzo. And walking into the show, this was top of my list. Yes, I actually passed on the Star Wars Black Series Anakin and Obi-Wan set. I thought about it, and I went, surely they're gonna release those two characters, those two figures later on. And as much as I love the platforms, I probably wouldn't put them in the display. They're gonna end up in a tub. So I thought, I'm gonna save some money. I did grab the Marvel Legends Savage Land set because it's Marvel Legends. It was mutants. It was Shanna to go with the Khazar and Zabu. But that one, I opened up in the hotel. Threw away the packaging, stuffed the figures into the bag. This, I took on the plane as a carry-on. Give me a shipping box and a bag, and I'm gonna make hay while the sun shines. Because I love the box and all the little Easter eggs and the stage. I know I just talked about not getting the Star Wars set because of how much real estate it's going to eat up. This is silly dumb fun. And I love me some silly dumb fun. Because look at this elaborate ass package. You have the Springfield Theater, all in lights. Extensive Enterprises present Cold Slither, Band of Vipers World Tour. Behind the logos, you have a window, and it looks like Zartan is working the ticket booth. I'm thinking once I take this slipcover off, that it won't have the logo. Maybe we'll see in a minute. Because down here in the left corner, there is Buzzer's buzzsaw, his chainsaw leaning against a motorcycle, but it's covered up by this warning that happens to say choking hazard small parts. Don't put the toys we haven't even looked at yet in your mouth. Eventually, in the future. We're getting there. On this side, the Hasbro logo, another motorcycle, and then Torch's torch and backpack. Winkin was here. But even more interesting are the other band posters. There's Jim in the holograms, and then there is a lot of glare. There is the Misfits. And you know what, Hasbro? I would not grab whatsoever if you made both of those bands in G.I. Joe Classified series. Or Jim in the hologram series. Jim's hologram series. 6-inch, super articulated instruments. Bring it on. On the one side, there's another Cold Slither poster with all the tour dates. I love that it ends in San Diego. And then down here at the newspaper machines, there is Zartan's mask and Duke's face on a dartboard. On the other side, there's a poster for the Average Joes. Okay, I get it. Cold Slither Forever. And then down here is Ripper's Ripper. On the back, Cold Slither flyers. And yes, there is more graphic under this slipcover. But up here's the logo, some fire escape, some ladder, Dreadnoks logo. You'll be joining us soon. The top is neat because it's just a totally random rooftop with air conditioning units and duct work and hello, governor. Bottom is boring as hell. It's just all black with some legalese. That does give us access to the tape that's holding on the slipcover. Quit watching me, watcher. So what do we have? Okay, yes. It's the full graphic, uninhibited by the logos, which, okay, I love the logos. There's G.I. Joe. But now, yeah, we see the full ticket booth and the doors behind her. The Viper is coming, now hiring at the Red Rocket. You can see the chainsaw fully. And then on the back, there's a whole lot more to look at. There's a Dreadnoks flag and Dreadnoks the enemy and some reference to other Dreadnoks that we have in here and on down here. Oh, there we go, right there. But then bringing it back around to the front again, this flips open and holy shit. There's Ripper and there is Zartan and there is Buzzer and then there is Torch. See, I gotta keep the box behind them or some kind of stage because they come with the stacks, not actual physical, but it's on the artwork. Long live Cobra. So yeah, let's get this thing open and see what's going on here. Okay, I opened them from the bottom and I was able to slip everything out. Unfortunately, the stacks stay on the package, which makes me think maybe I need to do some elaborate cutting to take the windows out, maybe, to display. The backgrounds do slip out of the packaging, so you can use as a backdrop, and there's the big snake, Too Late to Resist, Cobra is Strong, and then with an iron fist and a reptile hiss, We Shall Rule. Nice bottom, too, to act as a stage. There's some smashed cans and some graffiti, and then the set list for both characters. And then the sides also had backdrops that kind of continue on the snake, but it attaches way over here in the middle, where it makes it kind of rough to put together if you wanted to. Those sides have stages too, with the individual set lists for those that don't match. Well, it's the same words and everything, but it's a different logo and different design. These fluffies are fatal. I love it. We're gonna start with Torch because he has the least amount of overlays, the least amount of extras on the base body that all 4 Dreadnoks share in this set. I know it's Hasbro, big surprise, but it completely works. Well, I said that and then zoomed in and realized that Torch has a unique torso because the shirt, the deep V, the wrinkles, that's all sculpted on. The other 3 have a naked torso, muscles, striations, all that. So, there you go. The rest is bare arm, and I guess I'm used to Marvel Legends with bigger, bulgier muscles. This seems a little bit thin, but again, it's G.I. Joe, this works perfectly. Same for the legs, it's just a basic leg sculpt with, you know, thigh and hip and knee and calf muscle and a shin. The hands are kind of a double trigger finger hand. It's got a grip, but then this one's out and this one's out. And I think it's meant for weapons, but it works surprisingly well with instruments. God dang it, Torch, you're making a liar out of me again. These are just on Torch. The other 3 use the single finger trigger finger hands. Maybe they went extra sprucey here because the rest have vests and extras. All 4, oh God, I better check before I open in my mouth again. All 4 do share the same boot. Kind of a loose look with some design work, like a strap coming back and around, and then a strap with a buckle going around the top and a kick pad on the front going down on top of the foot. And those are actually reuse of regular release Rippers boots. You'll see here in a minute that the rest are pretty basic down here, just solid colors. But for Torch, again, maybe because he doesn't have a vest or necklace or any of that, they did paint those extra sculpted details. So yeah, he's also the only one to have the sole painted black down on bottom. That's not to say that he doesn't have overlays though. He does have these studded bracers that just sit on the wrist. They are an extra piece floating around. And like we see with all G.I. Joe Classified series, the crotch cover is a rubbery piece that's over the actual hardened plastic of the main body. So I guess that makes it easy enough to give all 4 of these guys unique sculpts to the belt and even here. For Torch, it looks like a belt with a buckle. You have the loops, you have the end coming around, you even have a couple of holes, and then the buckle seems to have cold slither on it. Oh, that's tiny. Gold there, you know me, I love silver studs, all painted on the back, on the front, on the inside, and then the arrow on the shirt is not sculpted in, it is deco, it's painted on top. Then there's the face, and this is the one that makes me laugh because he already had a rock star kind of look. At first I thought, oh, this is just reuse of the standard release Torch, but no, that's a little more calm, if you can believe that. Still has the sunglasses and the mustache and the chops and the bandana, but the hair is a lot more windswept, a lot more rock and roll, and then he's got a snarl to his mouth. This one, just straight up, gonna catch you on fire. This one has that hairband sneer. When it comes to articulation, I'm only going through this figure because, again, it's the basic body for all 4. But on those others, I will show where the overlays kind of get in the way in places. For the neck, there is a dumbbell joint up at the top with a ball going down into the torso. Can look up, can look down. There is some tilt to it, left and right. Butterfly joint goes back. Oh, and they even painted a little bit of that red arrow in there. Goes forward a bit. Pin coming out to the shoulder rotates around with a hinge that goes up to there. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow goes most of the way up. Swivel at the wrist with a hinge up and down for a weapon wielding and or instrument wielding hand. Hinge mid-torso, crunches forward, arcs way back. There is a cut behind the belt for some swivel at the waist. Drop down hip goes to about right there, kicks forward, goes back, out. Ooh, better than a lot of Spider-Mans. Swivel at the thigh. Double knee kicks. Oh, easy. Swivel at the boot. Hinge at the ankle goes back, goes forward, and then front-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, Torch comes with a keytar, and yeah, in the original episode, Torch played a guitar, and it was Ripper who was on keyboards. But it's Classified series. They take their liberties, they do their updates, they make their changes, and really, it's a separate piece. You can give this to anybody. You can swap instruments between any of the players, so it's not that big a deal. Although it would have been cool to have the neck detachable and then you could put it on top of like a box or something and then he could rock out behind it just. But I'm also completely happy with this, mostly because of all the paint apps they did on this thing. Look at the flames and the orange and the yellow and then the keys, the blacks and the whites. Now it's easy enough to just throw this on them, but if you do have trouble with that for whatever reason, you can pop the pegs for the strap, throw it around them, just clip it back on. All three that have instruments slung over their shoulders do have a problem with this slipping off because, I mean, it's plastic, it's slippery, but once you get the neck in hand, it stays pretty damn well. Next up, I'm jumping into Zartan because while this may be my favorite look of the band because of the yellow and the red, and it's just Zartan, he has less overlays than Buzzer and Ripper, so it just makes sense to go to him next. Again, he has that muscle torso that Torch doesn't have, but we'll see a couple more times. There's the arms with the muscles, going down to some bracers that are those separate pieces? Do they come off? No, those are sculpted on. Don't tell me that Torch has different wrists. I didn't even take the brace. Oh, yep, no bracelet thing going around. So Torch has different forearms than the rest too. There's the legs again, just tights. The boots again with the pads on the front, the straps going around, just in black this time. Zartan's wearing a leather type vest overlay that is attached down here, and I'm going to point out the cutout for the sleeves. It comes down far enough where the arms can lay semi-naturally, and I want you to remember that for when we get to the next two, and that'll become a thing. It may not seem important now, other than showing a lot more skin, but it'll come into play. Like I said with Torch, the crotch pieces can be unique because they're just rubber overlays. Here we have a belt buckle and then shiny black belt. This ring belt that is kind of awesome when you look at it because of the silver paint just going all the way around. Then the shoelace like fly is sculpted on there and painted. But then there's Zartan's head, which is, well, that's a similar slight grin to it, isn't it? Let's take this off. Actually, the sculpt looks pretty damn close, which makes sense. Zartan is bald. Just slap a hairpiece on top of him. He's already got a cocky little grin. Look at that head of hair. The awesome sculpt with some curls in places, some little flyaways, and then the bangs parted in the front. I wish there was a slight wash to it to bring out that detail even more, but it still looks pretty good. Oh, and I forgot to close up the eyes. That's amazing. For accessories, Zartan comes with a bass. You have the 4 keys sculpted in here. There's heavier strings. And then I like the pointy design. It just feels very Zartan-ish. Not to mention the color scheme with his outfit. You have the yellow burst going into some lime green. That's the pants. And then the black for the rest is the vest. And even the silver to the strings and the keys works into that ring thing. So very color coordinated. Easy enough to just throw on. And again, it kind of slips off the shoulder. But with Zartan, if you can get some gap going between the hair and the vest, you can put that there and it kind of locks it in place.
How are we feeling tonight?
Moving the Ripper next because he's my second favorite. I don't know if it's the colors or that luscious hair again, but I like this design. Just to get it out of the way, same chest as Zartan, same arms, again with the wraps around the wrist, same legs, just tights, same boots, kick pad, all in black. There are some tattoos going on here. These claws ripping through, and then this Viking head, this Grim Reaper over here on this side that kind of gets lost in the articulation, but you get the idea. Same ties at the crotch, belt buckle, belt, but no rings. So it is a different sculpt. Plus there's this sash over on the side that is part of the sculpt and attached. And I like the asymmetry there, just hanging off to the side. It gives it a little something. Well, it would if it wasn't the same blue as my background. Gonna say the same about the blue wraps tied around the top of the boots. That just adds something to these red pants with the black stripes. It's a nice contrast. Those are nifty because they're sculpted to not slide down over the boot. They lock in. They stop right, well, I say lock in. You can slide them up if you want, and if you wanted to take them off, you could do that too, but they stay in place. They're tied in knots with little hangy downs in the back, or well, off to the side in this case. This strap on the left bicep has a tendency to kind of fall down out of place. Now, of course, I pulled it down, and if you get it up here, It wants to stay a little better. This one on the right side with the studs, not so much. It seems to want to stay right there. Those in conjunction with the vest, which has a nice sculpt to it. There's a bit of seam line work. These 4 straps keeping it closed. But notice the lack of, well, okay, it does come down a little bit, but with these straps here and here, the arms jut out a little more than Zartan. And I know I'm saying those as kind of a negative, but if I had the other camera going, I'd do an excuse jig, because holding their instruments, that's not a problem whatsoever, because they're, you know, up on the neck and then out over the thing. So it works for this release. But if these guys were holding weapons, I'd gripe a bit more, because I wouldn't be able to get... But then look at the head. Oh man, some more sweeping hair flowing back. I love it. Same general beard setup as the standard Ripper, but more groomed, which makes total sense. Completely different sunglasses this time around, though. These are pretty solid. You can't see the eyes unless you remove them. Ah! He's got a tattoo under the eye there, and that is also over here under these glasses, which are a translucent blue. You can see the eyes painted underneath. They are a separate piece, and I've been kind of half-ass yanking and pulling, and I haven't been able to get it out of the hair sculpt. And I don't think I want to, because as tight as they are, they may be a pain in the ass to get back in there. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. Ripper is on lead guitar, and Flying V is a choice, I guess, for Ripper. Oh, you know what? It kind of matches the Jaws of Death or Life or whatever he's using with the general release. It's got that same feel, that same vibe to it. There's some red and some blue to match the rest of his gear, but then there's yellow, and that just pops completely out. And part of me is, oh, it should match, but then part of me is okay with it. I know that's weird after talking about Zartan matching completely and me loving it, but that's where we are. Going back to earlier, if you wanted to get a little more cartoon accurate, you could swap the instruments, and looking at the colors, that actually works slightly better. This is where I'm going to talk about the 2 extra straps that came in the set. And at first I thought, what the hell are these for? It's not like I'm going to replace them or break anything, or well, hopefully won't break anything. But then I realized that this guitar has a shorter strap. That makes the guitar hang higher. If you want it slung lower, I guess you replace the short strap with the long strap, but I'm okay with this because 1, it changes the look from Zartan and Torch, and 2, if he's lead guitar, he's a lot more technical. So maybe he wants where he can up here and see for some noodling. And then finally, there is Buzzer, who is the biggest departure from his regular look, but at the same time, there's no mistaking that this is Buzzer. I saved him for last because 1, he has the most accessories, and 2, he has the most annoyances when it comes to my own personal pet peeves when I'm messing with an action figure. Once again, same basic body as Zartan and Ripper. There's the muscles on the torso, the muscles on the arms, the tights on the legs, the boots. And that puts us up close and personal with the first set of overlays, these tassels at the top of the boots. Just like Ripper's bandanas around the top, these are sculpted to not slide down over the boot. You can go up a little, I guess, to give it a higher look if you want, but these are staying in place. What doesn't stay in place is, oh, this necklace that just hangs around the neck on top of this loose bandana. Posing around, and this is flopping around, and that's pushing the necklace up under the neck. It's not the end of the world. It's not terrible. It just involves an extra step whenever you're posing around. And it does look good. I like the bright white around the neck, contrasting with the grays and the blues and the skin tones. Then there's also the glasses. Once again, translucent, you can see the eyes underneath, but these are removable. These are a separate piece. There is the possibility of knocking them off on top of having to work to get them straight. That seems to be a trend because the regular Buzzer's glasses are my most hated accessory in the G.I. Joe Classified Series line. They just do not want to stay on. You can see this one's, it's falling off as I'm touching it. As I'm holding it, stop it. There's not enough ear to hook onto because of his hair sculpt coming down. These are a little better because Mohawk the sides are shaved. There's more ear sticking out. So maybe that was a conscious effort, or maybe it was just the design, happy accident, something. These do stay on better than these cursed things. You can kind of tell it's the same guy, but this head sculpt seems smaller, maybe to accommodate the mohawk, the size and everything. He's also a lot happier in Cold Slither and shaves more. Crotch piece here, different from the other three. It's a studded belt, and then the buckle, does match Torch, but again, different. Then there's the denim vest, which works with the blue pants and the tassels down here. But there is some extra paintwork going on with a dry brush of lighter blue to give it some depth, and a Cold Slither logo on the back. For extra deco, there is this tattoo on the left arm with the snake and the sword. But again, not enough cutout here, and some wrinkles even, so this is probably the worst offender when it comes to arms going down. But to make excuses again, to justify one thing, he will be playing drums up in the air and everything, so ta-da! Speaking of drums, segues nicely into accessories. We're starting with drumsticks because these are a necessity. Not the tightest grip, but also not the loosest. So take that as you may. They don't just fall out, but I have had them lose grip, so there is that. Another necessity to play drums, you need a stool, and this is nice. It's got kind of a leathery sculpt to it, and sweat stains? Is that what that is? I can't think of any other reason to have a shinier, glossier black paint app on top of the duller. When it comes to the bottom here, these locking adjustment screws and the tripod is just gray plastic. This does come off though if you want to make adjustments or some kind of tweaks, changes. Next we'll move to the hi-hat for no reason whatsoever other than that's the first thing I grabbed after the stool. You have the cymbals up top, which you can take off if you want to third party it up with actual gap between the two or whatever. Sculpted adjustment lock, the tripod, and then the pedal at the bottom. That's also removable, which comes in handy if you don't have a lot of room for the setup. This does stick out when you have the snare in place and everything. So if you want it closer, you can take that out. I mentioned the snare, there is that. You have the head on it, the black around the outside. Once again, is removable, tripod underneath. Floor tom, exact same color scheme, design, white on top, black on the sides. The gray does come down, and then the legs. And comparing the two, yeah, appropriately bigger. There's a crash or a ride cymbal. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a drum expert. I just pick things up as I go. But once again, cymbal on top is removable. You have the gray plastic, the sculpted lock right there, and a wider base to the tripod, which again comes in handy for when you get this all set up and you have to kind of come from the outside. And no, as much as it looks like one, that is not a hinge. And I guess I should clarify, these adjustment keys, the lock-in things, those are just sculpted. Those don't do anything either. Most of the gray pieces are just solid parts. Then there is the bass drum or the kick drum. It's got the same design as the rest. It's bigger. It has the Cold Slither logo on the outside. This is an actual hole for air to release. Again, I've seen that, but I don't know the technical term. Have a couple legs to help it stand up, and then some toms on top. Larger, smaller, and these are removable. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be, maybe if you're packing up the gear, but you can take these out of here, and then these also come off. They're not glued, is what I'm trying to say. But you want to know what impressed me the most? The addition of a pedal for the bass drum or the kick drum, and it has some white up at the top, you know, the rod, the pedal part. I didn't expect this because in most displays it's going to be hidden back here. So it's just a neat little addition. I appreciate the extra effort. It adds a little authenticity, a little realism to the whole setup, and it looks good. It looks elaborate. Size-wise, Ripper, Zartan, and Buzzer stand at about 6 7/8, but then Torch stands at 6 5/8, I think because of the different torso. But that seems to line up with their work gear. Here's Zartan with retro-carded Zartan and Torch with, well, Torch. Not quite as short, but Torch is shorter than Zartan, who is taller than this Zartan. So it works, whether they're out in the field or up on stage. Kind of the same for Buzzer. Cold Slither version is slightly shorter than the standard version, but then Ripper is slightly taller than his standard release. So at the end of the day, I said it way back at the first, this is big dumb fun, and that's my favorite G.I. Joe, is when it's big dumb fun. These aren't military guys going at it with realistic weapons. These are a group of punks that dressed up as a hair metal band to brainwash people into serving Cobra. Big dumb fun. This does blur the line for exclusive though. When it comes to exclusives, I always say it's better to have something that's just a variant of characters that we already have, and that's exactly what this is. But this goes way far beyond just a variant of the same characters. It changes them up so much that, well, at least to someone like me, it's irresistible. I had to have it as soon as I saw it. I mean, I had this shirt before I even knew about this set. If you've watched this channel or previous channels, you know that I've had this for a good long while. So when this was announced, I thought, sure, it's a little bit weird in places, but hey, what toy line isn't these days? You got a few negatives here and there, but the positives far outweigh those. I am going to keep messing with the background stage type piece because I can't quite fit Buzzer's drum set comfortably on there. I've got them kind of smashed in there, and the cymbal is too far out, and this kind of, I mean, yeah, it's close to being close, but not quite. I'd like to have a little more breathing space, and that would allow the rest to spread out or come around to the front a bit more. Maybe flatten this out, but then I'd have to cut or bend the sides because that's what's holding it from collapsing in the back. Or try to integrate the sides in, which would also require some cutting because there's this dead space here. So I'd take that off and then fold this and then maybe cut here so it'd sit up on top of that side, but there'd still be a cover coming out at an angle, and try to stick it together or something. I don't know, we'll see. I guess the last thing to talk about is availability. Yes, at the show, it seemed like at times it was easy enough to just walk up and grab, but I think when it went up for sale, was it Thursday, to premium members, it sold out like zoop, real quick. I think it is going back up for order this Friday, which should be the day after this review. Tomorrow, something. Hopefully they will have enough in stock so everybody gets theirs, because again, if you're just Joe versus Cobra, gotta be serious, then this isn't for you. But if you like silly, wacky fun in your G.I. Joe, then again, hopefully they'll put up enough for everybody. Or if there's not enough tomorrow, that it goes up again in a week or in a month or something. Somehow make it available to everybody, please. Because everybody needs some Cold Slither. And yes, I ran it by Lenny at the show that maybe next year, next convention exclusive, something down the road, we need Snake Eyes in his Boy George gear, and Timber, and Polly, and Shipwreck. Bye!